Hey everybody, welcome back to the Yin and Fang podcast. In today's episode, Heather and I are joined by Lauren Colletti and Nandita Mahadevan. We had a powerful conversation on sex drive, hormones, mineral balancing, the healing power of community, and all kinds of topics that you're probably not talking about in your doctor's office. We also dove into their new project, the Soul Women, and how they're creating a space for women, especially in the perimenopause time frame, to feel supported, understood, and empowered. All right, let's get into it.
Not back in a new spot for another Yin and Fang podcast. And we're here with Lauren Colletti and Nandita Mahadevan. Lauren is a board-certified functional medicine nurse practitioner, clinical director at Alive and Well. And Nandita is a health and hormone coach, and also both of them are the founders of Soul Women, which we're super excited to talk about. A really amazing addition to the Austin wellness kind of like holistic health scene. So I just want to get started with, first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here.
And Lauren's been on before in our other space, and so we're excited to have you back.
Nice upgrade. I love it.
Yes.
The inaugural guest, I believe.
Yes, exactly.
Ooh, I feel so special.
Yeah.
Inaugural
you
both
are.
times. So we just wanted to get started kind of talking about I think when people hit the kind of 30s, 40s, 50s, I would just say after 30, things start shifting in your body. And I'm curious to hear kind of what you run into as the patterns that people start seeing health-wise that are kind of the breakdowns, things that you're just seeing all the time that are issues you have to deal with from a functional perspective, like a hormone perspective, and men or women.
Yeah, I can speak into that a little bit. So I've been in this space for about 20 years, so I have seen thousands of patients, and I would say starting in midlife, life becomes more abundant in general for us, right? We all can relate to that. And what I typically see is patients will just notice energy levels have declined, brain fog. They may be struggling with sleep or feeling just their mood is not as balanced, maybe some more anxiety, some more depression. And so much of there's so much of a lifestyle kind of foundational influence to that, as well as just as we age, there's hormonal shifts, there's the impact of stress and living in our modern age world, that has a negative impact on our hormones. But also what I like to really stress is there's so much that we can do lifestyle-wise, nutritionally, supplementally, to be coached to support. So midlife is an opportunity to really get clear on how do I take care of my health, because health is not a destination.
Right.
It's a state of being, really. I mean, it's a evolution over a lifetime. So there's so much that functional medicine, because we look at you as a whole person, right? And so we're assessing the whole part of you and then making really foundational recommendations all the way up to hormones and peptides and supplements and medications even. So it's quite the breadth of access to availability of using lots of different modalities.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know in the last episode we basically kind of dove into what functional medicine is and the basics, like eating whole foods and exercising and that kind of thing. So I want to drill down more than that. If you want to go back and listen to that episode, it was an amazing episode, episode 3 or 4. But I know one of the things that y'all are working on too is kind of the accountability and community piece. And what is that just to start kind of setting the stage, where do you feel like that plays a role in these changes that happen? It's the toxin overload or life gets busy, all that stuff. How does that play such a significant role in holistic health and managing how you're feeling as you get older?
Yeah, I want to speak to that a little bit. I think let's talk about women, because a large percentage of the people we work with are women. A good portion, first half of your life is spent kind of looking externally and taking care of your kids and your family and your husband and, your household. And at no point are you really stepping back to look at yourself. And I think once you get into your 30s and your 40s, things change with your body.
Mhm.
And there's almost an identity shift that happens. And you step back and say, what happened? There were things I could do in my 20s and 30s. I could eat food a certain way. I could stay out and party late at night. And no longer the case when you enter your 30s and 40s. And so it's looking at your body as a whole and trying to see what are the areas that are really impacting me. Am I getting my 8 hours of sleep, and how well am I sleeping? Am I eating really whole foods, and how are they cooked? Just basic foundational things that we look at from a lifestyle perspective.
Mhm.
And stress management is, again, a huge aspect that you tend to put on the back burner, but then there's only so long that your body is willing to put up with it, and then it reaches a tipping point, and you have all these symptoms that come along with it. And so being able to step back and say, what are some stress management techniques? And there's so much knowledge out there. You get onto YouTube and everybody is giving you a different solution. You get onto ChatGPT and there are tons of supplements they're going to tell you to take. And so how do you really look at your body and customize it to what you need, I think is where functional medicine comes in, because they're looking at your body as a whole. It's not just a Band-Aid. It's not this one supplement is going to let you take care of all of these issues that you have. And so, we do blood work and there's stool testing that you can do. And then you look at your lifestyle components of your food and your exercise and your sleep and your mental health. That really all puts it together to let you know how to move forward in a more sustainable fashion.
And there's so much healing we don't, we talk about longevity and the keys to longevity, metabolic health, sleep, specific blood markers that we look at. But one of the things we don't put nearly enough weight on is community and relationships and healthy relationships. And I think COVID was a beautiful example of that and the need for people wanting and seeking community and seeking being seen and being heard and being validated. Because the reality is, as we get older, we tend to become more isolated because of all of the different demands that we have. And we get to a point where the only people that we're surrounded by are our kids, our coworkers, and our spouse as well. But even then, I've been married 15 years. Like, there has to be intention around cultivating and nurturing that relationship, or else we just get pulled in all the beautiful ways we are through our life. And that's where relationship and healthy relationships, and so intentionally being around people who are health-minded, who have similar goals, who maybe are ahead of the game than you, and you're like, wow, I want to level up, right? Being around and surrounding ourselves intentionally with people who are playing in a way that we want to in life, and there needs to be intentionality. And I think that's lacking. So the health piece is so critical, and personalized medicine is the future. AI, all these technologies are incredible to enhance, but there's nothing like being in front, being a patient and being listened and being validated and getting the data, getting the information for you, right? Like Nandita spoke, we are not short of information, but most people feel lost. They don't know what information is for them, or they're not getting the right information. So that's the community piece. And it's not sexy. It doesn't sell, it's not super marketable, but shoot, if you feel seen and you have people in your corner that believe in you and see you, like, that is healing, and that can make you leaps and bounds physically healthier. It sends signals to your cells that are positive and anti-inflammatory. We know the research. It's just we still dismiss it in our busy sort of more society. So
well, it feels like the emphasis is always, people always talk about stress, but like a major piece of that is community. I mean, that is a huge reducer of stress.
Exactly.
So and like the relationships that you have, and whether even if it's just like you are with your spouse and your children all the time, like having some sense of community and like making sure, and like you were saying, like you have to put the effort into those relationships, and all of that is like, it's that piece that we can't really quantify. But it's probably the most powerful piece.
And that like COVID era lesson is like a story as old as time. Like maybe we didn't all appreciate it as much until it was kind of taken away. And then as soon as we got it back, it's like, wow, this feels so good to get back around with people that are, feel like they're in your corner or see things similarly and just make you feel
seen and
yeah,
heard.
there you go.
Yeah, and maybe realizing like people in your life, they may not should be in your life anymore, right?
Yeah.
And surrounding yourself intentionally with people. There's a lot we see with chronic disease. There's many there's many Facebook groups or different groups around specific conditions because people get it and they feel seen and they can get supported by people who know intimately what they're experiencing, at least in some aspects. So we're all searching for that. And then also we just all should have more fun in our life.
Yeah.
Life is just so serious half the time. I get caught up in that a lot, where I'm like, wait, just snap out of it, have fun, play. Like we have one life. And so really trying to shed light on that. And there's not a quantifiable test for that, but all of us could use a prescription of fun and community.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Yin and Fang toothpaste. Yin and Fang toothpaste is a 4-ingredient toothpaste with coconut oil, baking soda, cacao butter, and nanohydroxyapatite. It's non-toxic. There are no preservatives. It has low abrasivity, which preserves your teeth. It supports your oral and gut microbiome, and it's remineralizing. We ditched the tubes to help the planet, and instead, Yin and Fang comes in a sustainable, zero-waste packaging and delivery system. Get yours at yinandfang.com.
I wanted to hone in on the word accountability as we were reviewing you Soul Women and some of the things you do, and just that word came out to me in your the statement of what you do, and maybe wrap in the word accountability with things you do to help your clients reestablish health. What are some of the habits that you have to reinforce them to bring back into their life, and is there maybe most common habits that you're finding you need to coach people to bring, whether it's happiness or food, or what are the core habits that you work on with accountability?
We work a lot with women who are high-level executives or really busy moms. And when we think of accountability, there are two aspects. There's one is health and fitness, and then there's just life in general and everything that life throws at you. And so we have women who are not eating well and are not exercising and are at a phase of their life where not only are they taking care of their children, but they also have ailing parents that they're now responsible for. And they have busy businesses or, jobs that have them working, burning the midnight oil. And then they have a house that's just filthy and they cannot get things in order. They've got a garage that is just packed with stuff. Their wardrobe is so full they don't know what to do. And all of these things add clutter to your brain. You're just sitting in this place, this mindset of chaos. What happens at that point? How do you... They're such smart women. They can figure things out with their business, but their lives are just chaotic. And you need somebody from the outside to kind of look within and say, let's prioritize, and let's pick 2 things this 1 month, the first month. Let's break it down into bite-sized pieces and let's work on these things. And as long as you're making movement, even if they're small steps that you're taking, you feel better. You feel like there's progress. And life just feels like, okay, I've got control and I'm moving forward versus just sitting in that space of chaos and feeling paralyzed. And it impacts your mental health, which in turn impacts all the other parts of your life, physically, emotionally, how you show up at home with your family, your friends, all of it. And so accountability plays such an important role in not only breaking down the steps, but then having somebody to stand by you and say, okay, these were your goals. Were you able to achieve them? It's okay if you fell off the wagon. Let's get back on and take these steps gradually. So that's the part. You're
It's
just
truly a
holding their
partner,
hand.
and most women or men too. Like they don't need to do more. They need to prioritize, and they need someone to give feedback and reflect on what may or may not be working based on what they say they want. Because who we are, we're not what we want, right? Like how we show up is what we are calling in, right? And so if what we want and how we're showing up are not in alignment, someone needs to say, hey, what's more important here? Because and that's where accountability, and it's like we're working with you together. And that, if you talk about, again, I'm in the functional medicine space, we're a growing startup as well as with Soul Women, but like that is the thing that is so missed. Like people don't stay around if they don't have someone accountable. You give them a plan, they're like, I don't know how to do that, or they try and they fail, then they give up. And that's just where accountability is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think that can be for people like that are new to the functional medicine space, coming in, getting evaluated and getting a plan. That is like where coaching comes in a major way from what I've seen. Because if you just have a provider that, like you're saying, it's like take these 7 tests and then also change your diet and also your exercise plan. And then it's like, see ya.
Someone who's already
so
overloaded.
overwhelming.
Right.
Someone's already overloaded and overwhelmed and they don't feel well. So
Right.
here's a bunch of other more doing to do.
Right. And it's also like there's like an edge, a lot of times people come in to that space not really understanding, like they understand they need to be there, but they don't really understand how all the pieces are going to fit together. And it's hard to walk through that, all of these things that are new, if you don't have somebody, like, let's do this first, then I'm going to check on you in a couple weeks. Let's do this next. It's like everything. We all do better with a coach.
Exactly.
That's why you hire
Coaches
a personal
need coaches.
trainer.
Everyone
and
needs someone to hold them accountable and to what they say they want. And I'm going to speak from a provider because I'm the one who makes those treatment plans, but it's not, I go into what is best for the patient based on the results, all that's based on what they want, and create a plan. And that's super valuable. And also, like, I couldn't do it without having a coach or having accountability, because I also don't know how that person's going to respond to the plan.
Right.
Most likely a plan starts and it needs to be adjusted based on the response. Right. It's just like with anything, you implement, you evaluate, and then you redirect, you shift.
Right.
It's everything in life. So like, why not in health? Like the rigidity, there's just rigidity in life just doesn't typically work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the implementation. I think it's easy to meet with a provider and get a plan together, and then what do you do with it? And quite honestly, if you pay for something, you're willing to commit to it and do it. It's like
Absolutely.
a personal trainer.
Oh, for sure.
You can go pay a gym membership and you will never show up.
Right.
But you pay for a personal trainer and you're going to show up and do those sessions. So,
Right.
And the more you pay, the more likely you're going to actually commit. And the more it sort of is like, oh man, that's an investment. Okay, I better really show up to this.
Right.
And that's
functional medicine is not for the faint of heart. You need to really want to do it.
Oh,
There are lots of quick fixes. The conventional medicine route, you can take a pill and feel better temporarily. We know that that's not a long-term solution, but you have to be really willing to stick through it and make some important choices for long-term success. But it really has to come from the patient. There has to be a willingness. Otherwise, they're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
I can do all the hand-holding, but if you're not willing to do the work, there's only so much that we're going to make progress with.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of having like a group or a community or an accountability partner is
support.
Is then that just takes that mental load off, where you're like, who you need to show up for, and like who's going to be holding you accountable.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit.
I have one more thing about community that I want to add.
Please.
We work a lot with women in perimenopause and menopause, and one of the symptoms that comes up frequently is low libido and sexual wellness.
Oh, yeah.
And I cannot tell you how important and vital community is in that space, because women are so ashamed by it. There's so much stigma around it. And when you have a group of women that come together and share openly, they feel so much more comfortable sharing and asking for solutions, because sexual wellness is an important part of life. And they're not willing to talk about it unless it's in a situation like this, where you've got other women coming together and one person talks about it and the other one says, oh, I feel the same way. And then there's dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So community has been really important when it comes to...
I've seen a lot of really massive shifts with specifically around sexual wellness.
Yeah. Like, what have you seen? I'm curious.
Women just opening up about their sex life.
Yeah.
I mean, and what's lacking, what's not. And we oftentimes think it's the husband who's has the higher drive, but there's a lot of women who have a drive and maybe their husband, there's just so many complexities. And so when women can actually just get that off their chest and speak about it, and just really, there are so many solutions, but it becomes mostly about them speaking what they want, speaking up, like being honest. And that is a really beautiful place to start with other women. And so it kind of builds from there, but it's first of all just like speaking it, like, and with hormonal changes, and I mean, we can get into that or not, but sex is a huge piece of health, and healthy sex life or sexual wellness is key to overall wellness. Yet it seems oftentimes put on like a woman, or women feel a lot around that. And they want to have good sex. Like that is 100% desired, and there's just like not a lot of support there.
Yeah, there's also a loss of connection to body, I think, as women go through life. They're so, again, focused on the outside, that they lose connection with their body. They don't know what they want, let alone ask for what they want. I think sex is very much often focused on what the male wants, and the woman kind of takes a backseat and feels like her role is to please, versus actually understanding what they need and what they want and what is desirable, and then being able to communicate that to your partner, because they want to, give you pleasure. But if you don't know what it is that you need and you're not comfortable asking for it, then it's not going to go anywhere. So being able to allow them to speak into it and give them the voice. How do you go about asking for it? What are the words you use? Making them feel more empowered is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys want to know too. I mean,
Right.
we want to feel like the champion, like you can provide that,
It's
experience
so true.
for your partner.
Right.
But it's oftentimes this communication block, maybe of
It's actually a huge divider in
about
relationships in midlife. So sex is oftentimes causes conflict and friction in relationships. And so like an open dialogue and just feeling comfortable, and really women initiating that conversation in a healthy relationship is well received. And there's a lot of healing that can be done around that in a relationship.
Yeah, I feel like so many people don't understand, they don't have the recognition of, as you get older, that can actually get better. Like,
absolutely.
You can hit these tiers that you never thought were imaginable. A lot of people think, oh, when I was in my 20s and peak athletic time, maybe that was my one time to, be the peak performer or whatever it is, but there's actually all these other tiers as you develop like the different areas of the relationship,
intimacy, connection, vulnerability.
People just don't know that,
We don't allow for that in our society ever. Like, being vulnerable, open, intimate, connected. We're so disconnected. So that's a beautiful place to start, is in your your relationship, is bringing that and seeing how that is brought into your other areas of your life. And it magnifies everything, so makes everything better.
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting conversation to me, because the idea of like progressively moving into lower libido as you age as some sort of result of a physical issue. Like, to me, a lot of that it's like energetic and communication, and it's like a use it or lose it situation, like many things, I'm curious what you've seen. And I know obviously it's like that can turn into something physical, but a lot of times I think, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I feel like a lot of times when you get to the root of it, it's a communication problem, and like it's not really like a physical manifestation has come from this blocked energy between people, and then like them not being able to get past something, or like hurt that's built up, or like a trust issue,
resentment,
right?
Totally.
Yeah.
I think for men, it's quite simple. You increase their testosterone, you increase their drive. It's really biological. With women, it's just not the same. It's much more nuanced. From a hormone replacements perspective, because that's what I deal with a lot with women. We see lower progesterone levels in midlife. We see lower testosterone levels, lower DHEA, kind of lower cortisol levels, which are all really being drained from our stress and our lifestyle many different ways. Sleep, burning the midnight oil, like not resting, kind of being in this chronic state. It drains these hormones, as well as just as we age, women, our ovarian reserve. So as we get closer to menopause, which is no cycling for 12 months, our ovaries are no longer producing or releasing eggs, which produce progesterone. So that's really where we get from. It's not from the follicle is where progesterone is released, and that's important to balance estrogen and progesterone. So that impacts mood, it impacts sleep, it impacts irritability. So that can cause additional friction in communication, right, and relationship, as well as lower androgens like testosterone and DHEA do impact our drive, our vitality, and so we do find that supporting with hormone therapy in this midlife is really critical. It's somewhat foundational for many women, but it's that relationship, it's that communication, it's learning how to be in conflict in a loving partnership, right? Like how to work through things, how to speak up. But when we speak up, that's not always going to be received in the way we want. And how do we work through that in relationship? Because women need intimacy, they need connection, they need to be seen to feel sexual and really those hormones to drive it, right? Men don't. And so that's often a disconnect I see is like, well, I just want to connect with them. I want more intimacy to feel libido, to feel turned on, right? And men were like, okay, well, I can just get to it, right? And so it's communicating that and men slowing down to allow women to catch up, because as we age, it oftentimes takes us a little longer because we're in our head, we're thinking about the kids or a work project that is not going well. And while men, it's oftentimes more in the forefront. For many women, they can get there. It's just, let's slow down. And it's a truly hormonally driven, as well as just, like you said, that environment of we're just going, trying to juggle a lot of different things.
I'm making some notes here. So it's the better transition. I appreciate the transition.
Yeah, so it's hormonal shifts are big, and so women need to get them tested and they need to get them looked at, because we might not do hormone therapy, but understanding, okay, there's something biological here. It's not just me, because that's a lot of what the messaging is that you're just going to become bitchy and angry and like frazzled and overweight. And that's just my lot in life from, midlife on. And the reality is, oh no, honey, there's so much available, so much joy, so much transition, so much like stepping into your power and like speaking up for what you want, knowing what you want and going after it, where many times in the earlier part of life, women are feeling less like that. Yeah.
I went to my PCP and I said I'd love to get some blood work done because I think I'd want to start bioidentical hormones. And she said, well, what are your symptoms? And I said, I don't really have very many. And she said, well, we're not going to do any of that then. We don't need to, because I treat symptoms. And if you don't have any symptoms, then there's nothing to give you. And it was so interesting because I work with a team of functional medicine doctors. And the thought process is so different. It's almost like we've got to wait until you have a series of symptoms, until you get really bitchy and you've got a ton of, you've gotten overweight and you're having night sweats and your hair's falling off. Only then are we going to look at your blood work and think about, solutions.
Right.
But there's so much you can do before you get there.
Yeah.
Why would you not test blood work and do the preventative, everything you can do preventatively, so you're not having all those symptoms and you enter midlife feeling so much more empowered and you have control of your body. That's really the way to do it. And
Yeah.
so all this talk around perimenopause and menopause is just awful. Oh my God, I'm dreading getting into that phase. Is such bullshit because there's so much we can do.
Get labs done when you feel great. That's your baseline. I mean, that's what I say. Like, labs are information. They say nothing about who you are. So get over it, men, because men it is somewhat of a weakness to like have, I don't know. It's interesting how men approach it. I see this, of course, not collectively, but the time to get labs are when you're feeling good because it's a baseline. Nothing just falls off the ledge overnight, right? We see trends, and that's what we look at. We look at trends. We look at optimizing because labs data changes, labs ranges change it. You're really compared to the population, which is generally unhealthy and not vital. So like you have to really get testing done, see where things are changing over time so that you can make subtle shifts before things really present themselves. That is a message we are obviously very passionate about. I am extremely passionate about because it's much easier to kind of steer someone back online than pulling them out of a ditch or like off this, once you're into a really big chronic disease state and feeling horrible, it is a lot more work, a lot more trial and error to get you back feeling your best. And so like, why are we waiting? Like, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and the whole system is like the old way, right? I just did blood yesterday and the, physician friend is like, what are your symptoms? I'm like, I don't have any. But, and then the phlebotomist is like at our house. She's like, I need a CDT code. Or not CDT, sorry.
A diagnostic code.
Yeah, she's like, I need the medical diagnostic code. I'm like, just put like something, But, it's like even the people that are the providers, maybe outside of that world, they're like, wait, why are you doing labs?
Yeah,
like, no.
we're in a very reactive.
They don't know any different. It's not, they're just not taught any differently.
And
they're taught to give a medication for a symptom.
Routine.
I've never talked to anyone that says they'd rather wait till symptoms come online before doing anything versus being proactive. You have to ask people, right? Like you have a choice. They just either don't realize it or don't know where to go, right? Women are seekers of information. So if something's not feeling right, they're searching and they're getting dismissed. They're not getting the right information. They're not getting in front of people who are knowledgeable. And so eventually many of them just kind of like give up and say, oh, it's just me. And I guess this is just what I'm supposed to do. And then that is just unfortunately not a healthy place to be mentally, physically, emotionally, all of the things. So that's where just getting testing, getting access is step one.
I have a scenario-based question here. So like how many times do you have patients, these women that are coming to you, like, I want to get my sex life back in order, and you might be doing some type of hormone therapy or something like that, but then you still got to like really push them to actually go have the sex with your partner and like do that, engage in these other, is that like a common scenario, or is it when you start prescribing, it's like an immediate, like they seek it on their own? Well, I'm curious.
Well, I think it takes, for men, like Lauren said, you can get on testosterone and you're ready to go. For women, it takes a while. You've got to balance, all of your hormones, and it takes about 3 months, I would say, 3 to 4
women can start noticing pretty immediate with like testosterone and some of these therapies, usually within a month, like they can notice some shift. I think, it's part of like communicating with your partner. And sex to me is also, the longer you go without it, the more you forget the benefit of it. And I think women especially, they forget, wow, I feel amazing. Like just being able to have an orgasm or have that hormonal surging that's so powerful and healthy. Women can experience that very quickly with hormone therapy, but a lot of it is more of like the mindset, getting their lifestyle back online to be more conducive to allowing for connection, allowing for space, loving their body. There's so many different scenarios, so it's really hard. But with hormone therapy, it doesn't take forever to get online. Like we usually check labs within 4 to 6 weeks. 3 months is a great amount of time, but when we're really trying to dial in dosing, a month, then we can recheck and make adjustments. So, but the accountability, the lifestyle, that takes a little longer to get online oftentimes.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, I would wonder. Yeah, I don't know. I lost my train of thought there, but
I think allowing for fun, like Lauren said, is so important. Just letting your hair down, going out and having some time for yourselves. That starts everything moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
But
I
setting
know what
aside
I was,
time.
I know what I was. That just reminded me. It's. I wonder, like, if you could test if people's hormones are off and they can figure out a way to like communicate and start having sex more, if it balances, if that is helpful in balancing.
Yes,
I would see absolute improvement. I don't know. It just depends on the age, but we know testosterone lifting weights, like metabolic health, is huge, and muscle mass is hugely indicative of testosterone levels. And then, but I definitely think that getting the sex life back online can absolutely help labs, but labs are just numbers on paper. And there's ranges, right? So it's really
or even symptoms, like not
the
necessarily
symptoms are the key, right? And that's where numbers on a page is only so helpful. We need to know symptoms with that and that is where I think symptoms can improve very, very quickly in that when you start engaging.
Yeah.
I think there's truth to what you're saying, because I think a lot of women have forgotten what sex feels like and the release that you get from it. And you do it a handful of times and you remember how wonderful it feels, and then you want it more.
Yeah.
So just by virtue of even the repetition and doing the action more and more, it reminds you of what you were missing.
I have friends who literally just don't have orgasms when they have sex. So it's like, they're like, why would I do that? I'm like, well, I don't know why you would do it. Obviously, if you're not having an orgasm, I mean, that's like the energetic release and like the stress relief and all of that. And I think, going back to, it's even like, it's not community. It is community. It's relationship, right? So it's like all of that stuff sends signals to your cells to make you healthier in general, right? It balances, to me, it's like it balances everything. So if you can, I think there's that piece of it too, like without getting into the number, like you're saying, like the numbers and even the symptoms, that's like, if you can just communicate, make an effort, practice, it's like a practice,
Yeah, I really recommend scheduling sex. Like, actually, it's a really great container where both are aware. You can say, hey, I want some foreplay. Oh, today's the day, right? And so how do you lead up to the bedroom and really start creating intention? And women, especially who may be avoiding sex or afraid or not wanting, it's like when it's agreed upon day, that's where you guys both come to it. And then again, see what is created from there. But if you're struggling, then scheduling is a really great place to start. I highly recommend that for patients. It seems so like unsexy, but actually you can make it really sexy.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's like everybody's so busy.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't get upset if you schedule a date night, so it's like, it's the same thing. If you don't make the time for it, something else is going to take your time.
Yeah.
Like we all are, it's like work and kids and sports and whatever, friends. And if you're not blocking the time, then by the time you get to an open space, you're exhausted.
Yeah, it's not the right time physically, so it's easy to just put it aside for another day.
Yeah.
So that's number one, a great place to start, and you just see how things go from there.
Yeah.
I also want to say, I feel like we could spend this entire session talking
about
sex, but there's enough to talk about. But you were talking about your friend who wasn't, wasn't climaxing, and I feel like often with women, sex is not always about the climax. It's about the intimacy and just being together. Whereas with men, it may be more about the climax. Also, the flip side of that is women take so much longer to climax because they're sitting in their head that sometimes that adds more stress to it. It's like, oh my God, I still haven't climaxed and I'm still not there. And that's all you're thinking about. And how do you get out of there and really into your body to get to that place? I wonder which one of the two your friend is.
Yeah.
Well, and blood
I
flow.
have multiple friends. So I'm like, I think, a lot of time, well, it's like what you're talking about at the beginning. It's like if you're not asking for what you want, well,
Right.
one, if you've never had a good experience, and how are you to know unless you, especially like if you're in a married situation, like you're not trying it out with different people. So like, if you've never had a good experience, I think it's hard to know that there's something more. But it's ultimately, it's like communication. If you don't understand your own body and you're not sure what to ask for, or even if you do and you're afraid to ask for it, like it's going to be really hard to get to any sort of climax situation,
Right.
or even to enjoy it. I think because then you're just showing up for somebody else. So I think that's a part of it. I think there's like an education piece maybe, and also but it's always like a communication. It goes back to communication and being like open, and like if you can't talk about everything involved in sex with your partner, like there's going to be a block there.
Right.
Right.
And
the energy, the intimacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a block. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, just to speak a little bit to the medical side, I mean, women, if you've had babies, that can definitely change just vaginal, pelvic floor, all of that, which can impact just comfort with sex. And also as hormone levels fluctuate, just the lack of blood flow to the vagina, which when we have blood, that's where we have, more sensation, better lubrication, etc. And so that can be a huge issue. And so things like different types of lubricants, different types of like estrogen therapy, which is not systemic, it's just vaginal. DHEA vaginally, that can be really supportive to just like bring blood flow. And when we bring blood flow, we enhance sensation. So that is hugely, oftentimes missing, and adding that in, like vaginal estrogen, use a couple days a week. It's really easy to apply, and lubricants with DHA you can use just on a, when you have sex basis, or you can do it regularly just to, again, bring blood flow, increase lubrication, increase sensation, so that climax is more likely to be achieved, and it's also just an enhanced climax. There's other peptides and things like that we use. PT141 is one specifically that increases like sexual thoughts. Oxytocin can help with bonding and help enhance just that connection and intimacy that people feel. So there is our support around enhancing, but again, it comes down to communication. And I think in general, sex in I'm not going to speak to like a different generation, but like the generation that I'm in, mid 40s, is women don't realize like there's a lot of foreplay, like there's a lot needed. It's not just wham bam, we're done. And just understanding that and like leaning into that, it's going to make the experience way more pleasurable, because you realize, oh wow, yeah, that didn't take me that long. I just, like, my expectations, what I was going into, what I communicated was just way off.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the other piece is time. Like, people aren't giving themselves enough time.
Right.
Like it's 3 minutes isn't going to get you anywhere.
Women
So,
average around this age, it's like 15 minutes to orgasm
and
fully. I mean, not all the time, but like as we age, it oftentimes can take longer. So,
I mean, I was reading a recent study. I think it's closer to like 25 minutes.
So I think it's again like get that in your awareness, so that you're not like, what's wrong with me? It's been 3 minutes, and the movies, like, they're like orgasming immediately, and I'm like, that's not reality.
Yeah. Well, or there was like a day-long buildup that you didn't see or something.
Right.
Like there's so much around. There's so much around foreplay that like I think people forget. It's not just like you just show up and like touch each other's bodies and that's it. There's so much more to it, and it's like communication and certainly touch, but it's it's like there's so much more to intimacy than just like that physical act that you think of.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
We do women's retreats through Soul Women. And the last few that we did were around sexual wellness. And so we'd post things on social media. And it was interesting to see that the actual posts got very few comments on it. But the number of private messages I got was so many, because they were so ashamed about reaching out publicly and talking about it, which is interesting. You know, there's stigma around it.
Yeah. People are afraid to talk about sex.
they're embarrassed
Yeah.
to talk about it.
I know.
Which, gosh, I shouldn't talk like I've always spoken confidently about it. I grew up in India and there was a ton of shame, and
Oh, yeah.
my parents would probably be mortified if they watched this podcast. But
Or maybe not. Maybe that actually.
maybe they'll
They'd
learn
send you a
Yeah,
private
yeah.
message.
Yeah, they'll send you a private message.
Yeah. So good.
That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
just bringing awareness. Like women, and I tell you, when we bring up sexual wellness, sexual health, like women are like the first to be like, yeah, I want that, right? I'm
Mhm.
excited. I want to learn more. So there's definitely providing the information and just normalizing it more.
Yeah,
like there's nothing
normalizing it.
wrong to wanting to have amazing sex and to learn more and to deepen your relationship and intimacy and ultimately feel more vital.
Yeah. Everything's better.
Everything's better. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask something a little bit more like technical when we were talking about blood work. I feel like something that is all over the place, it seems like to me, is minerals and like hair mineral testing. And I'm curious, as we're talking about like libido and hormones and all this, what is one, can you just explain for people like the role that minerals play? Like, what is a mineral? I mean, you don't have to like do the definition, but
Here's
you know
a
what I mean?
periodic table.
No. But I mean, like, what are the things people should be looking for? Like,
Yeah.
why is it important? How does it affect your hormones? And maybe like some practical things people can do. But also, I would love to talk about like hair mineral testing versus blood work, because we were just having this discussion yesterday. Personally, if it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, I want to do the hair mineral testing because I hate getting blood, but giving blood. So can you talk about that a little bit?
I'll talk about kind of the two, what hair testing and blood testing, and they both have very unique and important roles. So really both. Sorry, Heather.
Okay.
But yeah, so minerals are critical to life and energy production. So minerals and the combination of minerals. So we think of minerals, the main minerals are calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium.
Mhm.
Those are the four main ones, make about 80% of the minerals in our body, and they regulate the energy production, so the energetics of the cell. So we think mitochondrial, we think of just energy production, which is life, right? So pretty important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when we're testing minerals, so minerals are not only they're individual, sodium has an individual purpose, potassium does, but what's really amazing is just the synergistic, which means they support each other and enhance each other, are antagonistic, where they work against each other, right? Their polarity is off. And so they have a very complex, beautiful interaction between to create the energetics of a cell. So if you think about the cell, and we're all charged energetic beings, and so we're like a battery. So we want our battery to be fully charged, and that is really regulated by minerals and mineral balance, which when that is online, everything's working well. All the processes that the body needs to do. And so what impacts minerals is, the lack of nutrient density in our food. And, even organic, even farm food, the cleanest of the clean is less dense in nutrients than it was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So ultimately, we're already starting kind of at 50%, even if we're eating as mindfully, right? And then we think about toxins, EMF, like all the things that we're exposed to impact our ability to absorb minerals. So that's going to impact our body battery. So when we look at testing, blood testing really lets us look at what's going on acutely. So it's a way for me to do a blood test now of Heather and see exactly what's going on. And so I can assess for any acute processes going on. So does she have an infection? Does she have acute inflammation from an injury or something else going on your body, right? And what is your mineral status in real time? So if I were to take your blood test on Monday and Thursday, oftentimes even hormones will look different. And so there's a lot of value to that, because we also want to know what's going on acutely. So you come into me, we're assessing, injury, infection, inflammation, acute. When we look at hair, I mean, it's outside the body, so it's not alive, right? And it's really slow growing. So when we look at analysis with hair, we're looking at about a 3 to 4 month window. So really, we're not able to assess acute at all. But what's really insightful we get from hair tissue mineral analysis is that we're looking at processes over time. So I'm able to see stress patterns over time. I'm able to see how adrenals, thyroid, like blood sugar, metabolism is working. And so that gives me a lot of insight in how you're living your life. Which is really helpful because you think about, you can't really assess someone's wealth by looking at their checking account. Right? We want to look at their savings, their stock options to really know what's going on with their health. And so that's how I think about blood work versus HTMA. They're both super critical because we got to know the status now, but we also need to know what's been going on for a while. And I just find so much insight a lot when it comes to stress, trauma, and how people can correct that through targeted supplementation. So not just like blanket, we need all these, we need calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium. Yeah, we need all these. But when we look at your hair test, we can understand where things are off. And if your adrenals are really burnt out, these are, minerals that we can utilize. Glandulars. So we use adrenal glandulars, we use thyroid glandulars depending. And then a really specific balance of these minerals to get you back to fully charged. Yeah. Which then allows you to detox and allows all the regenerate, detox, grow. Those are all the processes of the cell, not just energy production. So when everything is working online, then all those processes work really balanced. But when your cells are body battery is low, it's really only going to shunt any minerals to producing energy because that keeps life alive. So all of the detoxing, all of the cellular regeneration, autophagy, which is cleaning the cell out, right? So it doesn't die prematurely, that gets put to the back burner because we got to survive in this moment. That's all our body's focused on.
Yeah.
And so a lot comes online when you're able to like increase that.
Yeah. So certainly mineral balancing is going to thereby affect libido.
100%. And hormone levels. So, zinc is very much tied to progesterone. Copper is tied to estrogen. We look at zinc copper balance. Adrenals are very much, and thyroid are very much influential in sex hormone production. Actually, it's like gut, adrenals, thyroid, then sex hormones. So really if we're having, and when I say sex hormones, I mean testosterone and estrogen, progesterone. When we're having dysfunction or imbalance there's absolutely an upstream of the thyroid, the adrenals, the gut.
Yeah, interesting.
That's been impacted by the time we see it presented.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that can be done prematurely to support your hormones without ever taking hormone therapy. And also we do hormone therapy and then we support all levels because hormones, I'm not going to lie, can make a dramatic impact on how you feel at the moment, which then makes you more engaged to do the lifestyle changes to, it's hard to want to have the motivation to shift lifestyles and do some things that can be challenging when you have no energy and you're not sleeping and, and that's where hormones can be really, really critical.
Yeah. Cool.
Was that clear?
Yeah. No, I love that. I think
we could talk about it forever.
I think that it is very clear, and that's how I understood it as like a wider picture versus like a snapshot. And yeah, I think it's so interesting that now we can kind of see patterns like in a test, which is. I just think I agree. I think it's so helpful because that's really the problem. It's like the accountability piece. It's like, it's not because like you have an infection one day that is the major problem, right? It's like, what am I doing on a daily basis that's like causing these issues? So, yeah, that's really cool. It's good to know.
Yeah. And it's, oh man, I just forgot the point I was going to make, but it's really about, we can even assess like emotional patterns, like how people are feeling emotionally and ADHD and things from minerals. So it's actually really powerful when you get people on different mineral balancing protocols, like their mood and their personality changes. And that's from minerals. Like,
Mhm.
that's wild, right? Like,
Mhm.
we can see belligerence, anger patterns. We can see burnout. We can see chronic fight or flight. We can see a lot of different types of emotional patterns that can be potentially, it doesn't mean you have it, but
Mhm.
based on the mineral patterns that we see. And then you shift by giving them minerals, and that they shift out of that pattern. It's wild.
And you
Yeah.
can do it with children.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I
Actually,
love
that's how I
about
got
it.
into it, was with my son.
Oh, yeah.
My son, I just noticed ups and downs, and I was really into this concept of bioenergetics, which, you
Mhm.
guys, and so I was doing a lot with like energy and PMFs and all this stuff, right? And then I got into minerals because that's really what regulates the energetics. And I started doing it on my son, and within like 3 months, I noticed behavioral improvements. We did it really pretty strictly for over a year, and I'm actually just my husband and I were looking. He was like, we probably should do another one, you know. So it's definitely something that gives you insight, and kids respond super, super well.
To just adding minerals in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, his emotional behavior and regulation really improved.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was kind of more emotionally up and down and a little less grounded, and that shifted pretty quickly.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Okay, I want to inquire about one thing you mentioned when you talked about detoxing. Like, that's something that was kind of newly introduced to me, as far as like you take antibiotics and post that, maybe detox. But in your management of patients, detoxing, is that something you do like periodically, even when you feel good, or is it done after like just certain like chronic events, or how do you like use that in treatment of patients?
It depends a bit on what's going on with the patient, but as someone who's healthy, we're constantly wanting to support detoxification because that's a vital part of like living in biological processes. We're constantly producing toxins within our system just from biochemical processes. And then we're also ingesting them, right? And so we need to be pooping regularly. We need to be sweating regularly. We need to be, urinating. Those are, pee, poop, sweat. Those are the ways we really detox. And depending on someone's genetics or how their lifestyle, that can impact it. So it's really making sure. I'm a big sauna proponent. I'm a big proponent of making sure gut health is optimal. We're getting the right minerals. We're getting the right hydration to support detox channels. And then depending on what's going on, I'm a big proponent of maybe taking some glutathione or doing some IV therapy or taking different types of herbs to support liver health, especially if you're in a more stressed period of life. If you're noticing some symptoms of fatigue, brain fog, just sluggishness, that's oftentimes a time where we may want to go through some more targeted detox. But I'm a pretty big proponent of doing something a little bit more targeted once to twice a year. It doesn't need to be aggressive. Because let's face it, our environment is trying to kill us with everything that's like being exposed to. It's not in a doom and gloom way. It's just like, that's just part of like living in the 21st century. As we just really have to be mindful of what we're exposing ourselves to and how we're supporting our body to clear it. And it's daily practices.
Yeah,
so
I was
like
just going to
Nandita,
say, I don't know if you're looking for a prescription detox, but really it's sweating. Are you sweating every single day? Are you pooping every day, twice a day, which is normal? A lot of people poop, we hear once every 3 days, and they don't know any different. They think that's normal. It's not. Are you peeing regularly? Those are the three basic
like
things.
hydrations. And so there's a lot of just managing that. A lot of people don't sweat.
Yeah.
We work in a fluorescent box, or some women just don't sweat. Like, you can work out and they don't sweat. And so that's just an opportunity to be like, okay, we can support you in opening up that detox channel. So I'm a proponent of
like lymph
detoxing.
massages and just some basic dry brushing, dry body brushing is really great.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have to wrap up here soon. So I want to talk about, like, if someone's listening and they feel like they're out of alignment, like they're having some of these symptoms we've talked about, just feeling off, like as they've gotten a little bit older, maybe have kids, maybe not, or just busy with work or whatever. Maybe libido's down. I feel like that happens to so many people. What are, like, with soul women, like, can you explain what you guys are doing, how you can support them, what you think the best place for them to start would be?
Yeah, I mean,
thanks.
the purpose of Soul Women is really education and building community. And so there's a functional medicine component to what we offer. We do retreats to build community. We have monthly dinners. They're really curated for a small group of women. We have expert speakers that come in. We bring in various vendors with the latest and greatest and really clean products that help women during this phase. And it's all about education and empowerment as they get through this phase. And so
Science and sisterhood. That's kind of what we talk about.
And then we have a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
We've got to have fun.
It's a membership where you join and your access to, again, accountability, coaching from Nandita, functional medicine, community events, just access to really curated content that's really driven by our community. So we don't want to just provide information that's not interesting or that's wanted. So it is very personalized, not only through the medical, but really through all aspects. So curating a membership, a community that women can really get the support and information that they need, and then be around women who are also in the same phase to support.
Yeah, I love that. I love the pairing of the science and the community.
Yeah, it's a bridge because you really need both.
Yeah. So you are doing some testing with people and going over it.
That's a huge part of it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so they get functional medicine, they get working with Nandita. They also get the community aspects and the education and bringing in different type. With the sexual wellness, we had some experts in Tantra, which was really fascinating. I didn't know a whole lot about that.
Cool.
And brought in, just experts in somatics, experts in, different types of topics that are super interested, not only to these women, but also Nandita and I. It's kind of fun because it's all stuff that we want to know about and learn more about. Just how to up level, how to, just live our best. Live.
Oh, yeah. And I saw y'all had a hypnotist at one, right?
Yeah.
What was that for? I'm so curious. I'm really into hypnotism. Not that I've done it, but I really want to be hypnotized.
You need to come to our next event.
I should.
It was short, 15 minutes. Christy, she works with a lot of women in this phase of life, and just a beautiful little guided kind of hypnosis meditation. I've done hypnosis before. It seems like, you'll be totally hypnotized. No, it's such a gentle, just sort of open state where you can be dropped in specific information and just connect with your body.
Yeah.
Really peaceful. During the process. So we just weave in. We had someone, I love Adam with Brain Supreme, who does microdosing.
Cool.
So he talked about that. And
Tammy with Vulva came in with some really clean products.
Yeah, she's a marketplace for clean sexual wellness products and just female products.
We had M-Powder.
Yeah, M-Powder, which is all a beautiful medical food to support perimenopause and menopause. So we're being in the space that I've been in for so many years, there's just so many great products and vendors and modalities. It's so exciting. I want to connect people with it. So that's also where the community comes in. It's an opportunity for us to showcase all of these amazing people, because there's not one thing that it's truly a team-based approach, collaborative approach, and it's going to evolve. It's not going to be, nothing is static. The only thing certain is change, right? So that's how we need to view health and lifestyle. It's never I'm going to do this program and then what? You keep going, right? It's not, and then I get to go back, or what in your mind are you thinking in 90 days, what? We're just evolving. And that's where this community just evolves with you and is a support. So really passionate about it because it's lacking so much in this space.
Yeah.
Because all the biohacking, you can be a very lonely biohacker and not be happy, right? So nothing against biohacking, but we can do all the right things and still not be happy or be joyful or have connection, have deep relationships, because that's missing.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. If you could leave people with, an overall idea about wellness in this phase of life, what would it be? Each of you.
I would say building community and connection would be my number one thing. It's so important. It's so vital. It lights you up. It keeps you going. You need women friends.
Yeah.
That really support you and see you and you feel safe with. And learning how to connect with a partner too, I think is so vital. Just building those skills of communication and feeling intimate is so important. The medical side is important, and I feel like that you can go and get taken care of. But the emotional, spiritual, mental side, the weight that holds on overall wellness, I think is often forgotten. And it's such an imperative part of overall well-being. So that would be mine.
Yeah, to build upon that is I'm also a big proponent of get the right information, get informed. When women are provided the correct information, then they can make decisions for themselves and informed decisions, and an empowered woman changes the world. So that's truly what we're about, and I see it. But if you don't have the right information, like how do you know how to move forward, right? And so that I'm a big proponent in testing and obviously getting that personalized approach and community, because that is really lacking. I see we're not getting women aren't getting the right information, so they can't make the correct decisions for themselves, and then they're left disempowered.
Yeah. Okay, so where can everybody find you? Sign up for Soul Women.
You could
Plug
go
yourselves.
to the website. It's soulwomen.com, or you could go to our Instagram page. It's the THE Soul Women, SOL Women, WOMEN is our IG handle.
Yeah, we'll drop some sort of, I don't know, coupon, something. We'll think about it for you guys to share with the community, just to get some, insight, a little bonus.
Cool.
We have a day retreat coming up in December, and then we have a 3-day retreat coming up thereafter in the new year. So lots of fun things.
Cool. Okay. Well, after you have all the retreats, you'll have to come back and share all the tips for men that you're learning in your circles.
I know. You're listening very intently.
Yes, no, it's so true. I feel such a... men do also lack the right support too. Obviously, women, I think, are oftentimes the change makers and who we focused on. But it's true, men are craving for that community. They're craving to be better partners, show up, and so we'll put in some insight.
There was a lot of parallels to our conversation last night as we walked home from dinner. I was talking about community and so this. I was, even though it was targeted at women, I was learning a lot and kind of trying to analyze it from my perspective as well.
We should do like a retreat next year for couples.
Yeah, I was just thinking, Sam. Well, you should connect with Sam because he's doing some men's group stuff too. So, there's so much separately, women and men to have that support, but then in relationship, like doing some things to kind of grow together. There's so much opportunity there. So much fun stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank y'all for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we'll do it again for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. All right.
Cool.